Fourth Avenue to Techwood Drive, O'Leary to Key. It's WreckTalk!
What is going on, everyone, and welcome to WreckTalk. 2-in-1 today. 2 videos in the same day. Well, we're a little late getting some of these out, but we are getting them out anyways. Now, I'm going to say this on every video for a while. If you're not aware, we do have an alternate channel that we are going to be streaming all of the games on for reasons. It's at WreckStream, so if you want to see us, I'm sure Pigskin Pete and I will be streaming different games once we get home from the tech game. So you want to go over there at WreckStreams and watch those. Give that channel some love. We're building it up. Also, if you want to support the channel in another way, consider supporting our sponsor, King's Ransom. Owned and operated by a Georgia Tech chemical engineering graduate. They have premium beard oils and colognes that even X-Rex likes. And she's not in the business of giving Rec any compliments these days. So go check them out at kingsransomusa.com today and use promo code WreckTalk for a discount. Now, I didn't pull any stats. I didn't do any research for this. This is the game. This is probably the game I am the least confident in predicting a winner. I don't know what to think about this Georgia Tech Clemson game. There's all sorts of side plots here with injuries. With Clemson, I can never get that right. The video's mirrored. Never once in my life have I ever gotten it right. Clemson with Antonio Williams. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right, but Cade Klubnik has not been the same without having him as a target. Clemson struggling with Troy. Like, Clemson loses to LSU. And I think me and a lot of people thought that weren't just trying to troll. Yeah, they didn't look great, but LSU likely to be a really good team. Maybe one of the better, if not the best teams in the SEC. We'll have to see. But then last week happened. Last week, there was an epidemic of Power 4 teams struggling with Group of 5 teams. Florida got beat by what? South Florida? South Florida now ranked. They beat Boise State, then they beat Florida. But then you had Clemson struggling with Troy. And that put a new emphasis on this game for Clemson. Now, it really tells you, and I saw some people discussing it that are Tech fans, it really shows where Tech's come from. I mean, you go back to the Collins days when they beat us 71-3 or something with Trevor Lawrence. We're lifting weights. We're playing wiener slaps. We're taking timeouts to just run the clock out before half. Every Clemson fan I've talked to is worried about this game and Bobby Dodd. So, completely different dynamic for this game. And again, a different emphasis on it now, or an added emphasis with Clemson struggling with Troy. Hell, what were they down? 16-0 at one point in that game. Something with Clemson's offense in particular just not gelling. Now, what's the biggest question on everyone's mind, particularly in the Tech camp? There's people that are pissed about anyone insinuating there's anything wrong with Haynes King. Now, do I know what's going on with Haynes King? No, I don't. This, and Pigskin Pete talked about it in his preview. He's coming down for this game. So me and Pigskin Pete Sea-Dog, we're all going to the game. Pigskin Pete staying at Casa Day Rec. You know that if you've been watching Rec Talk. He did slightly quote what I said, though. He made it sound like I was talking about Haynes King's shoulder in particular. I wasn't. They're calling it a lower body injury. My conspiracy is the wiener tug is the injury he's recovering from. I'm not saying he's injured, by the way. That's a joke. Don't type angry things at me. My take on it has been, like, think of NCAA 26. You have like a career health bar for a player. Once you lose a little, you never get it back. And really, this is true for players. Like, there are some injuries that are worse than others that you don't get back to 100% from. Think of all the injuries Haynes King has had in his career, going all the way back to Texas A&M. He broke his leg, destroyed his shoulder last year, had to come off that. Like, he's always dealing with something. So my take, this is my opinion. I don't know what's going on with Haynes King. My opinion is that Haynes King at best is going to be about 85% of 100 of his total career health. Like, he's never going to be 100%. Maybe we can disagree on the numbers. He's never going to be 100% though. Here's the thing. 85% Haynes, hell, 70 or 65% Haynes King last year against Georgia ran for like how many yards? How many touchdowns? So you don't need Haynes King to be 100% healthy to win games. I think he's always going to have something nagging at him that he's playing through. Now, is it preventing him from throwing downfield? I don't think so. Like, do I think he's physically capable of throwing downfield? Yes. Do I want Haynes King throwing downfield a ton in this game, like 10 to 15, balls of 20 yards or more? No, I think that's an equation for disaster. And that goes back to, like, is Haynes King ever going to be the guy that we saw in that Louisville game in Key's first full year where they came back and beat us? No, I don't think you're going to have that. I think with Haynes King in the game, you're going to have a lot of, like last year, balls at the line of scrimmage, a lot of Haynes King runs. Here's what I will say. If you run Haynes King in this game against Clemson like you did in the game against Colorado, he won't finish this game, and it could be his last game at Georgia Tech. Like, you can't just pound Haynes King into the ground, I don't think, in this game, and have him available for you for much of the rest of the season, right? So you kind of have X number of big shots you can take, I think, as a player, and we're running thin. We're running thin. Luckily, Georgia Tech has a really good backfield outside of Haynes King. Like, we need Jamal Haynes and Malachi Hosley to step up and have big games. I talked about this on several different channels. Georgia Tech is very good at being creative in how they distribute the ball on the ground. You got Haynes King. It's in NCAA 26 where they fake the toss, or it's an option play off the defensive end where you can toss it to Jamal Haynes, or he can pull it back and run right off basically the guard's hip because the tackle's going to pick up a outside linebacker, whoever. They do the jet sweep. They do zone read. They do runs off tackle where sometimes it cuts back in. Like, both Malachi Hosley and Jamal Haynes are really good at cutting the ball back and picking up yardage. So the injury thing just is interesting to me. I have said, and I will stand by, and again, I don't know. I do think you're going to see both quarterbacks play at some point in this game. Do I think they'll get equal snaps? No. I think Aaron Philo is going to come in at times in this game, though, because Clemson's game plan is going to be attack the line of scrimmage, be aggressive. This is what's happened to us up to this point that's led to some of these turnovers, by the way, particularly the one with Garner Webb. Attack the line of scrimmage. Don't let them get their screens off. Clemson's going to say, you're not beating us with Haynes. You're not going to run Haynes King for 150 yards on us. If Haynes King throws for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, great, and you beat us that way. But he's not going to run for 150 and 3 touchdowns on us. And I do think Clemson is talented enough to force Georgia Tech to throw downfield to beat them. That's going to be key. Now, Georgia Tech's going to get their runs off. Like, they're going to put up some running yards. That's just who Georgia Tech is. Georgia Tech has the talent to run on talented teams. I guess flipping it back over to Clemson. Georgia Tech's weakness on defense is the defensive line. I think Clemson is going to want to run the ball in this game as well. Early on, they're going to want to take the pressure off Cade Klubnik right now, where he doesn't have to force balls early and he can kind of get in the swing of the game. Georgia Tech was really good at defending the run last year. Little suspect at times this year. Now, I think the defensive front through 2 games has been more impressive than I expected them to be, like Akilo Stone. What was that Mosley kid, Andre Fuller, Vandenberg. I think that starting 4 for Georgia Tech is good. I do still think there's some depth issues there, and when you rotate guys in, you could get exposed. It's happened. Like, I'm uncomfortable with how well Colorado was able to run against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, talented defensive backs, though. Talented defensive backs. So I think Clemson should want to establish the run early and then run more of a West Coast thing with getting the ball out quick with Cade Klubnik and not allowing Georgia Tech to get to him. Now, Clemson struggled on the offensive front. I'll say this. If Georgia Tech is able to consistently get pressure on Cade Klubnik, that throws a lot of doubt to me on Clemson's offensive line. Special teams. I was asked about this on another show. Hey, what are Georgia Tech special teams like? I ain't got no clue, man. It's like, it's schizophrenic. In the Colorado game, we have a guy with a dress on. He has a 4X jersey on a guy that looks like he's 130 pounds, getting slung around like a rag doll with it for no reason. I guess, the 2 people have 2 different numbers. How can we not figure this out? $20 million in revenue share, hundreds of millions of dollars in athletic budget. We can't figure out jerseys. Right? Probably should have taken a safety in the Colorado game with that. Muff a punt in the Garner-Webb game. And here's the biggest thing. This turnover bullshit with Georgia Tech has got to stop. I'll say it again. Thank God. I'm not even trashing Colorado when I sincerely mean this. Thank God Georgia Tech played a team coached by Deion Sanders week 1. If you're going to turn it over 3 times. Because that's about the only hope you got of coming from a -3 turnover margin 3 series into the game. All right? First 3 series, Georgia Tech turns it over against Colorado. What do they do against Garner-Webb? First series turnover. Yeah, Philo gets sacked by at least 40 different guys, fumbles the ball. Next series comes out, throws off his back foot and across his body, turnover. So for 5 possessions to start the game across 2 games, 5 turnovers. Georgia Tech 128th as far as most penalized teams. They might be right now the worst Power 4 team as far as committing penalties. And they're often procedural things. Offsides. We got a running into the kicker 1-2. That was somewhat questionable. But the 2 things, this is why I have no idea what to think about this game. The 2 things that gets your asses beat, Georgia Tech right now, in my opinion, is awful at. Bottom of the country at. -5 turnover margins and worst 128th in penalties. If that's not way better in this game, you're not going to start this game off with 2 turnovers, get down by 14 or 17 to Clemson, and come back. You're going to get your ass beat is what's going to happen. And I'm going to come on here, and I'm going to come unglued. I might drink a 40-year-old Coke just because that tastes better than 6 turnovers through 3 games or something. That's got to stop now, all right? For Georgia Tech to win this game, as much as Clemson is struggling, you got to be positive turnover margin. You can't have stupid, silly special team stuff. And you got to win the penalty battle. You can't take more penalties than them. You got to be more disciplined than them. So, again, I'm not even doing a prediction for this game. I'm not doing a score prediction. I have no idea. I think for Georgia Tech to win this game, it's the same script. Control time of possession. Attempt not to turn the ball over like a bunch of imbeciles to start the game. And look, like if Georgia Tech runs for like a $180 or more, that's a pretty good sign. If Haynes King can run for more than 80 yards and a touchdown or so, that's a good sign. And if Georgia Tech does win this game, I think it'll be a low-scoring game. It'll be like the Miami game last year. It'll be, 27 to 20, something like that, 28 to 20, something like that. If it's a high-scoring game, I think we get ran. I think we get ran. For Clemson, if I'm Clemson, I want to come in and get a lead early and just try and overpower a team that I'm more talented than and take them out of the game, take the crowd out of the game, take Pigskin Pete cheering for you out of the game. We'll have to see. Again, did Haynes King not play last week because he wasn't able? No, he 100% could have played. I do think we're resting him up to be as ready as he can be for the Clemson game. So let me know what you guys think. I won't be streaming this game, and neither will Sea-Dog because we'll both be at the game with Pigskin Pete. I'm sure we'll do a post-game report. We'll do probably a quick live stream. And again, if you want to support the channel, consider supporting our sponsors. Go give the alternate channel some love and give me your prediction below. I'll say this. If you put a gun to my head and force me to pick who I thought was going to win this game, I'd probably say Clemson. I said, and this is no surprise, I said this in the preseason. I'm not picking us. We haven't beat Clemson since 2015. We haven't beat Clemson since Deshaun Watson's freshman year. I'm not picking you to beat Clemson until you do it, so do it. Y'all have a good one.